But Phil, you reckon he's going to lose his job?
No, not at all.
No, I don't. Why are people saying that he's going to be losing his job?
Because Redfall reviewed bad, basically.
Yeah.
I think that's the. I mean, I understand like people are angry that Xbox just haven't had any hits this year, like at all. Like they haven't really. Well, since probably the Xbox Series X has come about, like they've had a bit of a slow run over the last sort of few years. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Polygon Forest. I am the indie developer, Vin Hill, joined by the other indie developer, Christopher Jarvis. We really need a new intro. We will get around to it one day. How's it going, Chris?
I'm good. Yeah, we are game developers, Chris and Vin.
Yes.
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Not too bad. We had the King's coronation yesterday in the UK.
Yes.
So sat around, watched that. So there might actually be some noise today. Like people keep going by and like there's like caravans of bikes ringing their bells and stuff. I don't want to do like the annoying, I'm sorry for the noise in the background or thing or whatever. But like if you do hear anything, that's why.
Yes.
People are celebrating. We got a new king. So
yeah, there's a garden party happening just up the road that I drove past. And I'm like squirreling away inside my house and closing the curtains and shutting the windows.
Making a podcast.
Yeah. So I'm a pro. What can I say?
Indeed.
But let's get on to the podcast. What are we going to talk about?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a slow week. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk around Xbox and what they've sort of been up to. So we're going to go over that.
Yep.
The implications of a game that came out, as well as the man in charge of that, and maybe like give our thoughts on why that might have happened or where it's going, sort of thing. But yeah, we had a couple of little bits as well, I believe. What else was there?
Everything's a Jedi Survivor, just everything.
Yes, everyone's still talking about that game. It's a big old game, reviewed very well, but obviously still has its bumps in the road, especially on the PC version. So yeah, we can talk about the excitement around that, or the lack of excitement, I should say.
Depending on what you're playing on.
Yeah.
But Phil, you reckon he's going to lose his job?
No, not at all.
No, I don't. Why are people saying that he's going to be losing his job?
Because Redfall reviewed bad, basically.
Yeah.
I think that's the. I mean, I understand like people are angry that Xbox just haven't had any hits this year, like at all. Like they haven't really. Well, since probably the Xbox Series X has come about, like they've had a bit of a slow run over the last sort of few years. And I think they've been building up this momentum, and now like games are starting to come out, they're just not hitting as hard as people want them to. Like they're sort of expecting, PlayStation level stuff, and because games like Redfall, which are currently on Xbox, just absolutely tanked, did not do well.
Yeah,
people are sort of holding Phil accountable, and Phil Spencer is also holding himself accountable, right? Like he was the first one that came out and sort of put his hands up and says this, the book starts with me. And people are now questioning if he should lose his job, which is the world we live in, I guess.
It'd be interesting to see where that's actually coming from. Is that just the press being like, there's been no good Xbox games this year,
I think it's one of those situations which we've seen countless times over the last few years, which is, social media starts talking about stuff, then the press pick it up because social media is talking about it, and then social media talk about it more because the press have picked it up. So it's this self-fulfilling cycle that goes around, which nobody's really assuming these things, really. It's just, like the clickbait machine has sort of taken over at that point, and now people are genuinely questioning if Phil Spencer should be fired or not, which if you think that it's all based off one game doing badly, then you're very much mistaken. It's going to be a combination of things.
Yeah.
I.e. the Activision Blizzard deal. If that fell through for something that he did, then yeah, I don't think his job is on the line, really, because everything else that Phil Spencer's done has really put Xbox back on the map. Like the Game Pass thing is very much his brainchild. Like you gotta doff your hat. The successes which Xbox have currently got are accredited to him.
Yeah.
And if anyone else is in charge, I mean, we've seen other people in charge of Xbox and just completely fumble it. Like Don Matrick is just the one that comes to mind. The brainchild of the Xbox One and how poorly that generation was. And then when Phil Spencer took over, he's had a pretty successful Xbox Series X generation. So for what it's worth, I think a lot of people are just, their headspace is in this whole like console war that's going on between Xbox and PlayStation for the most part. And because Xbox aren't beating PlayStation, therefore Phil Spencer's doing bad.
Yeah.
Which that's a very, very silly metric for us to be sort of holding these companies to anyway. Like it's not about who's winning, it's about who's losing so badly.
Yeah.
That it becomes a problem, which I don't think we're there yet.
I mean, I think for me the headline is wait until September or whenever Starfield's due to be released, and then see what happens. I think there'll be a spike in people buying consoles then, specifically for that game. Fallout fans, I think will make the jump or wait. Have been like in the back of their head. If I wait till the review's out, if they're good, I'm gonna have to get the console. It's like one of those games where they'll have to do that. While you've been talking, I've been Googling what Xbox releases are due out this year, and there is really nothing that I can see.
Yeah, it's a thin old list.
I mean, it's a big list, but it's all stuff that I've just never heard of. So there might be some sleeping hits here, and I'm hoping there is. But it's all stuff that's either on multiple platforms, or it's just the things that I'm seeing mostly is like Gollum, but that's like on multiple consoles, which could be quite good. Starfield is the only thing really that's that I've got my eye on that could do really well. That's just Xbox exclusive. So
yeah, I think that is the reason for it more than anything. I think the reason why this year is so bare is because the way that the lineup was 2 years ago for Xbox, and it was pretty clear, like from the release dates and the windows that they gave back in the day, they thought that Starfield would be out by now.
Yes.
Right. So if Starfield is out right now, Xbox will be on cloud 9, and now we're just looking forward towards. This is what they wanted to happen. Like Starfield would have been out by now. It would have been very traditional sort of Bethesda 9 or 10s out, game of the year contender sort of thing. Xbox are doing well. The deal with Activision closes, and they've got like all that in the pipe as well. Like Game Pass is taken off. This was the plan. But a couple of things have happened. Obviously, the CMA's sort of decision for the Blizzard Activision thing, which we spoke about last week. So you can go watch that episode if you want. And obviously, Starfield isn't out yet. And I think that sort of shoved everything back by a year. I think they've genuinely just looked at this calendar year and just been like, we really should just push everything, and really give next year a sort of good push. And I think that's where all this has come from. I think just this lack of games, and the ones that are coming out are just like the drips of content, such as like Hi-Fi Rush, which was a nice surprise, like came out of nowhere, and it was cool to see like the AAA space sort of have like a shadow drop like that for Game Pass, because that's what it's going to be about. That's how it's going to sort of kick off in the future. So we saw Hi-Fi Rush, didn't meet sales expectations, but it definitely met quality expectations, which if you're a gamer, what do you really care about?
Yeah. It was reviewed well and it played well, and no one had a bad thing to say about it, did they, really?
No, not really. It was a pleasant surprise. I haven't finished the game yet either. I do need to get back around to it. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like if Starfield was out, like this conversation wouldn't really be happening. And it's the irony that one game, which is Redfall, is making everyone question Phil Spencer's sort of position in the company. But if Starfield was out, then they wouldn't.
Yeah.
So it's whatever the next game is. That's the constant problem.
Yeah.
But
with Redfall, I've seen some things where it's like, this is. I've seen a bug where a vampire just like is just there and like frozen and just looks really silly, and it's like, that's a funny, silly little thing.
I think it's just a bad game. Like bugs aside, I don't even think it's like the performance of the game is the issue in that.
Oh, is it being reviewed poorly?
It's just being reviewed poorly. Yeah, it's just apparently just a boring game. Which I mean, we saw this on Rainbow Six Extraction as well, but this whole co-op, like 4-player co-op sort of experience versus environment thing worked great for Left 4 Dead back in 2008 when it first came out.
Yeah.
or 2007 or whenever it first came out. Works great for Left 4 Dead, but in 2023, is that really a model that we should be chasing anymore? Probably not. Like, I think it's kind of it's a genre that had its moment and it's sort of faded away, and I think we need to sort of let it go at this point. It's not like unless we can come up with something truly original for that. And say, because all we keep doing is just changing like thematically what is in the world. Like, instead of zombies, it'll be vampires. Instead of vampires, it'll be aliens. It's like we can play this game over and over again, but if you're not changing the core loop, then it's always going to have that problem. So I think it was just a product of its time. Like Back 4 Blood, same thing, got reviewed horribly. Like 5 out of 10s, was not very well, and that was made by the team that made Left 4 Dead. You know what I mean? Like, if they can't figure it out again, then what the hell chance do Ubisoft have with Rainbow Six Extraction versus Arcane with Redfall? I just don't think it's a winning battle, which is fine. Like, you're just adding content to the people that do enjoy that. But in a season where there's no other games coming out for Xbox, like, I can understand why, why people are starting to have some doubts. But ultimately, I don't think it's really that big of a problem. I think people are being really premature about this.
Yeah.
Really premature.
I mean, there's lots of cross-platform stuff that's going to be coming out, and they'll have that on... There'll be some cool announcements, no doubt, that'll be on Game Pass. It'll still seem like a good value for money. Did you see...
Yeah, to speak to that, it's like, it sort of annoys me when people say, oh, there's no games on Xbox, but then it's filled with third-party games. And it's like, there's plenty to play. Like, I hate it when people play this game of like, oh, let's pretend that there's no third parties out there, you know what I mean, for first-party consoles. It's like, sure, if you're a Nintendo, like, yeah, you can do that because it's a lot harder to port games over, and the only third-party games that Nintendo really port are from the last generation, which, that's a solid discussion. But when we're talking about PlayStation or Xbox, it's sort of irrelevant, because like there might be a whole season of just third-party game after third-party game after third-party game. It's like, okay, where the hell do you put the first-party game in this? It's not like Starfield is the only game coming out, at the end of this year. That's not what's happening. There's a lot of other stuff. It's just it's the only first party.
So do you think that Phil had like cleared the space and pushed dev of other things back to make Starfield like the main event for this year, and then that didn't work out because of COVID, and then now we're seeing the impact of that where other things are being developed for a longer time?
Yeah, I think it's probably a combination of that, and also the fact that the master plan of Xbox, quote unquote, is that we're only 2.5 years into this cycle. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, Xbox Series X has been out for 2.5 years. To make a new game from scratch, new IP, all that sort of stuff, it's usually between 5 to 6 years, right? So like all of these like buyouts and stuff that Xbox have been doing over the years, like from Bethesda, all the other studios that they got, Double Fine, all that sort of stuff. All of that stuff is going to take time to come to fruition, and we're really not going to see it until the end of this generation. And by the end of this generation, we really could see like the people look back at the PlayStation 3 era, right? Like at the beginning of the PlayStation 3 era, it was bone dry. It was awful. Like, it was like this for years and years and years. And then towards the end of the PS3, it just started ramping up. We just started getting content. We started getting, things like The Last of Us. Like, we started getting things like God of War 3. Like, these things started just coming out month after month after month because they were just slowly working in the background. And I kind of feel like the same thing is happening with Xbox right now. We've got Starfield in the pipe. Yeah, that's going to be a big one. But you've got other things as well, like a new Elder Scrolls game. Like, these are going to be Game of the Year contenders whenever they come out.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, Starfield is going to be a Game of the Year contender. I can confidently say that, not because I'm a fanboy or anything, but just look at the track record of Bethesda's Division 1 of Maryland.
Yeah.
Every single game they bring out, Fallout 4, Fallout 3, you've got Skyrim, Oblivion. Every single game they've put out has been a Game of the Year contender.
Yeah.
Every single time. So it'll be kind of silly for us not to expect them
expect the same, yeah.
For Starfield. So it's kind of, I think it's just too early. Like, there's a lot of projects in the pipe right now, and I think if this Activision thing goes through, like, you just add in onto the pile. It's just early.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think just give it some space, and it'll all pay off in the end. But that means we've got to release our games in a post-Starfield world. I don't know how I feel about
that. Yeah, that's the point, bro. Right? Like, if you're Xbox and you've got Starfield coming out, It's like you, Chris, you are head of Xbox right now. You've got Starfield coming out in November. People are going to be buying that. If people have got their $70 or their $60 or whatever, and as an Xbox sort of CEO, it's like, okay, are we going to release all these games at the same time? Or are we going to like spread this out as much as we can and sort of really think about this? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but
I'd have to check the marketing reports and speak to the marketing team and be like, how big do we think Starfield's going to be? How much money people are going to have? Are they going to have some money after Christmas? Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of other games in the pipe. That's the thing. There's Fable. There's Avowed.
Fable.
There's
why was that not on the list? Was that going to be next year then? Fable.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. So there's new Forza games probably coming out. There's a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch of stuff.
That's coming. Hollow Knight as well. That's coming out.
So it's kind of like, I just don't see this whole there's no games on Xbox sort of arguments. Like there's plenty coming. It's just these things take time.
Yeah.
I know it feels like a long time if you're a gamer, but if you're a developer, like 5 years is pretty average for the most part. It's just you don't hear about the game usually early. It's just Xbox needed to sort of announce a lot of stuff early, probably because they needed people to buy the consoles to get them to hype up Game Pass.
Yeah.
I think that's the mistake that's really been made, is just announcing them too early. I don't think the dev cycles are any longer or any shorter than normal. It's just...
Yeah. And even with this Game Pass thing, and the shadow dropping a video game, like we mentioned Hi-Fi Rush, we're in this age now where you can shadow drop a video game and the big gaming press will pick it up and give, your marketing spend can be a fraction of what it was prior, and it can be it made money. It wasn't maybe maybe wasn't a runaway success, but with like next to nothing on a marketing budget, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth them trying at least, and I don't think this will be the last time, because if it's a game that people know as well, I think the mistake was made that they shadow dropped a game which nobody, like, it was a new IP, right? Like that, I think that was a mistake. I think you do need market and push for a new IP. But if they came out and was just like, yeah, we're shadow dropping, Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 5, right? Like if that happened on PlayStation Plus or something, people would lose their minds.
People would go crazy, yeah.
It'd be on every headline. It's like, oh my god, like this game just came out, like everyone knows what it is.
Yeah.
Or a remake, right? If you did a remake, it would really work well.
Yeah.
Like to shadow drop a remake.
Really well. Yeah, definitely.
Like if PlayStation came along and was like, yeah, Eco remake is dropping tomorrow, it'd just be like, what? Like the whole internet would explode.
The three of us would go crazy.
Right. Yeah. Maybe two. But yeah, and it's good that they're experimenting with this stuff, right? Because it's going to be the future of games. Like Xbox and Game Pass is sort of leading the way on that, and we got to look at things like Netflix, right? Like they shadow drop shows all the time. Like they're just like, oh, a new show just came onto Netflix, and it's like, oh, okay, cool, I'll check that out.
Yeah, because they
already subscribed.
They control the algorithm. I suppose that Xbox control what they show in the what's new for you on the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
they hold the platform, so
they've got all the marketing eyeballs on things that they need, really.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny old business, but yeah, I really don't think Phil Spencer's job is in the balance.
Oh yeah, I know. I was going to ask you. Did you see the picture on Redfall of? I think it was on Reddit. There was a picture of someone on a rooftop looking down a chimney, and they hadn't textured the inside of the chimney, so it's just bricks on top of a roof.
I have not known.
No, and they were like, "Oh, this can't believe this game sucks so hard. They can't even like texture the inside of the chimney." And then there was lots of stuff on Twitter about that, where people don't understand how tough game dev is, and like, oh, give them a break, and it's like, yeah, but the game sucks, and this is an example of how it sucks, and it's like, nah, that's not really an example.
I don't think the inside of a chimney texture is really good enough. Because there's some games out there that just don't look that great, but they get reviewed well because of the gameplay.
Yeah,
right? So
that's it.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're supposed to go on the roof and you're supposed to look down chimneys like it's a Father Christmas game or something, then yeah, I think the inside of the chimney should be textured. But if you're not supposed to be on the roofs as part of the gameplay, then I don't see it's a problem. But
see, that's the next game by Hideo Kojima right there. Like
Father Christmas.
Father Christmas delivering presents, right? It's got to be it.
Yeah. Strings that connect us via presents.
Christmas Stranding. I don't know. Like, just awful. It'd be an awful game. But people would play it because it's got Hideo Kojima on it.
And you play Father Christmas walking in the wilderness with presents.
Someone would play that. I mean, it's the same thing. Like the other story which was out this week, which we weren't really going to touch on anyway, but was the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom has leaked online.
Oh.
It hasn't really leaked. What's happened is like retailers have sent the game out earlier to gamers, and they've just been like posting stuff and streaming and stuff.
Ah.
It's not really a leak. It's just like
accidentally delivered early.
Yeah. Retail's messed up. I mean, it's the 7th today. I think the game's out in a few days, so it's bound to happen. But
they were going to stream it. They were streaming a gameplay or something like the day before it's out. I don't even know what day it's out. And apparently, the American website or something that was hosting it's crashed because just the sheer amount of people that wanted to sign up to this streaming thing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's very silly. Like the whole the game's going to leak. Like what's going to leak, guys? Like you play as Link. You're saving a princess called Zelda, and you have to fight a guy from called Ganon.
And the enemies
is taking over Hyrule.
Enemies are slightly different looking.
Yeah,
do you know what
map.
would be a leak is if they fix the broken, the broken weapon mechanic.
Yeah, but they didn't fix it. That's the problem.
So guess what? I've been playing Zelda.
Oh yeah. Are you liking it?
Not yet.
You're not liking
I've
it?
sunk a few hours in, and I don't know when the fun's gonna start. I'm just going on faith.
Are you off? Have you got the glider?
I've got
yet?
the glider, and I've run around a bit, and I've found a few bits and pieces. And the king has basically said, spoiler alert, he's basically been like, "Hey, don't go straight for Ganondorf. Go off in this direction and find this beacon." And then they made it really difficult to get to the beacon. And it's like, why are you making it really difficult to get to the beacon? And why is there all this stuff between here and the beacon? I know it's an open world game, but it's like...
Have you ever played a Zelda game before, though? I guess that's the real question. Because I know like you're...
I'm a Ocarina of Time kid. Like, I sunk hours into that bad boy. And I have dabbled with the one with the mask and the moon and stuff.
Majora's
Mask. Yeah. And I've dabbled that. And I keep up to date with Zelda. Like I'll sit and watch videos of it and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know when the fun bit's gonna happen.
It is a great game. It's just that one core mechanic always grinds me. I don't know, people like viewers of the podcast like that sort of have heard me say this a million times. It's just the weapon breaks break the game for me. I just don't. I don't understand why they decided to do that. It's so silly.
For me, the creepy old guys in the dungeons that are waiting, that are copy and pasted and waiting to give you gameplay mechanics, that could have been so much better. It's like, hey, we'll just get some copy and paste creepy dudes to say the same thing in some dungeon. And it's like, what? How? Why?
Yeah. The one thing I do love about the game, because I do bitch about it a lot, I might as well just like list off some stuff that I actually do like. The thing that I do love is like they sort of just let you go into the world and they don't really tell you.
I keep dying though.
That's the point, right? So you have to learn how to play it.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's very like it doesn't hold your hand in a good way. I think that it sort of reinvigorated that in the games industry a little bit better, and I think that's really come from like the Souls genre as well.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of
that's true. Actually,
Zelda and Souls.
It was exhilarating. I climbed a mountain and then a robot shot me with a laser, and then I shot off and I had hardly any health, and I had to find some trees with some apples on, and then someone with a bow and arrow shot me in the face.
Right.
And I was like,
it's an adventure, right?
Yeah, that's an adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope that you find some fun in it soon, though.
I hope so. I'm going to keep on with it. It's because I came straight from Jedi Fallen Order, and it was like, near perfect game. I would change very, very little about that game. And then I'm playing another game straight away, which is the Zelda game, and I would change a lot of it. But it's a very old game, so I've got to keep got to remind myself of that.
Yeah, you say that, but Tears of the Kingdom is going to have the exact same stuff. Yeah, it's tough because I know there's a lot of Zelda fans out there and stuff, and I am one myself. Don't get me wrong. It's just,
I am too. Like, yeah, I would.
I don't get
fight over.
I don't get that.
Ocarina of Time's maybe the greatest game of all time still. it may still be the greatest game of all time.
Nah, I tried playing it recently. The game is rough to look at anyway. Like, mechanics-wise, it's better than,
Yeah,
it still holds up.
because that's an adventure. You go from one place to another, discovering things, and the adventure unfolds as does the story. And when you go back and forth, and when you go through time, things change. Like, you have an impact on the environment. That's the stuff that really nails it home for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I still have a special place in my heart for Link to the Past. It's still my favorite one on the SNES. It's still, that game is flawless for the most part. Like, it's hard to find anything wrong with that game. Oh well, they'll I'm sure Tears of the Kingdom's still going to get 10 out of 10s. Probably win Game of the Year.
Yeah, probably.
Reasons.
Because of politics and stuff. And
yeah, well, not politics, but yeah, people are very biased.
Well, it's the politics of the committee, isn't it? There'll be like people that do the awards for games may or may not be fans, but they'll know that it'll be the most popular game by a long shot.
Yeah, and if they don't give it Game of the Year, then they'll know that their readers will be angry at them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough, man. I just don't. Yeah, they need to form an academy for the awards. I've been saying it for years.
Yeah,
they need to form like some like ex devs, like veterans,
like the
people
BAFTAs.
that have been in the industry for more than like the BAFTAs, like the Academy Awards, like the Oscars and stuff. Have an academy of people. Don't let gamers decide, and Jesus, do not let journalists decide. Like, it's the worst people in the world to ask if a game should win Game of the Year. Like, they're just like, they're the most. They work with the publishers, like they're the most corrupted people of all. I don't mean corrupted as in like the political sense, but they are like their opinions are twisted from money.
How much money they can make and how successful they can be in their career would change if they made a controversial yet true to their own heart decision about games.
And I, to be clear about that, I don't mean like, I don't think journalists are getting like fed money from the publishers or anything, but I think there is this sort of unspoken thing like, hey, if you don't vote for us in Game of the Year, then maybe you don't get the preview as quickly as we would have given you before and stuff. Like, I don't think that has ever been said, but there's probably that concern in the back of their heads for certain publishers and certain games, especially when it comes to something like
even just the fear might influence their opinion and how they act and things. So it's not
PlayStation and Nintendo anyway.
And it's not even immoral. It's just that the system's kind of
that's the way.
I wouldn't even say broken. It's just
no, not at all.
Yeah, it's just the way
it works. It works for reviews and it works for like previews and criticisms and all that sort of stuff. It works for that system for the streamers and all that sort of stuff. That's it. That's great. Like, it works. They're cutting deals. They're trying to figure out like who gets the information first, so they can spread it to as many gamers as they possibly can. So it's a win-win situation for both of them. But when it comes to awarding them, I think it's a bit, it gets really messy really, really fast when you start like messing with that. So I don't know. I really don't know what the solution is other than form a committee, form an academy. But who knows? I don't know. But yeah, man, it sucks that you're not fully enjoying Breath of the Wild yet. But
also, I think the controls are a bit tricky as well.
Yeah,
I think
I
need to sink some hours into it so that it's in my muscle memory.
Sticks a little bit better.
Yeah, like throwing bombs, I'm like, oh, what do I do? So I don't feel like an adventurer. I feel like someone that's accidentally dropped a bomb and then set it off on himself. That's, who would do that?
You do get into a rhythm in that game. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully you see it all the way through. But yeah, I'm still playing Jedi Survivor. Like, I'm still playing that game.
I've completed that.
Not Survivor, sorry.
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order, yeah. I'm playing through the first one again before I go to the second one. Also, to let all the bugs get ironed out and stuff.
I'm waiting for the bugs. Yeah, so I was going to give it like a couple of weeks for them to do like a patch. And I'm seeing all online all the time. They're like, oh, there's another patch out for the Jedi Survivor. And so I'm like, okay.
Yeah, usually takes a month for them to fix games. Like that. That's why I'm not bothered with waiting. By then a sale might be on or something.
Maybe a month afterwards. Could be.
Yeah, if that. Yeah, it's usually faster, but I usually give it a month. If it's got any reports of bugs or anything, it's like, yeah, it's getting good reviews, so I'll wait for it. I mean, I love the first game, so.
The bugs that I heard were about things like pre-order bonuses coming and going. So, yeah,
who cares? Yeah, it's mostly about the performance on PC that people are complaining about.
That's when it's not having a problem. I've seen some fashion faux pas as well. They're saying that there's like articles about how you can dress really badly, and people are posting all their really bad dress, bad matching clothes and the bad haircuts and the bad mustaches, and they're like, hey, look how bad I look. I'm like,
all right,
embracing it.
There's a question for you. What game has got the worst fashion in it that you've ever played, where you've just been like, none of this looks good?
Oh, I don't know.
Like where you just stop like customizing the character. Have you ever had one of those games?
I think Spider-Man. It's kind of controversial, but Spider-Man, I did do that for a while. I would change the characters, like costume and stuff, and then I just got bored, and I was like, I'm just going to pick the stupidest costume so that he looks stupid in the cutscene. So when he's having a heart-to-heart and he's dressed as like the punk Spider-Man, and he's sad, or he's like talking to someone and something's really dramatic and he's dressed up like the punk one. I think that's it. Or just really stupid, like a really stupid, like cartoony white one. And I'm like, this is kind of stupid, but I like it.
Yeah. I think like worst fashion, and mine's absolutely going to be controversial, but fashion-wise, I think God of War is by far like the worst one, because like there's only so many ways you can dress up Kratos, who's like traditionally just got like bare-chested.
Yeah.
So there's always like these.
It's either like Roman inspired or like Greek inspired.
Yeah, they had in the last one they had like an emerald one where it was like full suit of armor. It just did not look like it suited Kratos whatsoever.
Yeah.
It just kind of looked like, you know when you take a dude that's never been to a wedding in his life and he gets his first suit, he kind of looks like that in everything that he wears.
That's true, because he's got such an iconic look that it does look weird whenever he wears something else.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. But not to say that the designs are bad or anything. It was just didn't look like Kratos.
Yeah.
It just looks like someone else.
It's weird when you identify with someone so much that they look weird when they put their top on.
Yeah, basically that. Yeah. Oh well, it's hashtag Kratos should be naked.
Bare-chested Kratos.
Yeah. Jesus. But yeah, speaking of Jedi Survivor, what were the headlines that you saw? I know you wanted to sort of mention that at some point.
Just that there was loads of them. Basically, that it's just taking up all of the airtime, and you know what? Yeah, fair enough. So there was things about the looking bad, like dressing up really funny, stunning visuals. Like there's people just talking about how visually stunning it is. What else is there? There's a game-breaking bug that was people were devastated by it, and that's been someone enough for people to write that in an article, whereas that might not. I mean, that's old news, but it's another new article about a bug, which I'm guessing is kind of small, because otherwise it would have been bigger news.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because I know people are still angry about like all the bugs. But it's like we're saying, just people have just got to be a little bit more patient. I understand like you're buying a product and like you expect that product to work and stuff, but at the same time, it's kind of a push and pull situation. It's just like you've got the game is still playable from start to finish. Like, yeah, but it's got some performance issues. Like, just leave it a week.
Yeah,
try and be a little bit patient, and it will get sorted out. That's the thing. Like, it's not like it's been abandoned. If the studio closed or something, then yeah, like you could be angry at Xbox and be like, look, like this is not acceptable.
Yeah.
Because like you put out a game that's broken and you're not going to fix it or whatever. Like that would be more of an anger point. But like them, the whole studio is probably just up day and night trying to like get these patches out.
Yeah.
So like now, like you've been heard. Like let them work now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's just so much coverage. Like I saw someone that did like a finishing move where they incorporated them doing like a finishing move as well as them being pushed into a big laser, and it looked kind of cool. And that was just, a big news outlet did an article on that, and I was like, wow, that's only ever for the big AAA games where nothing else is left to talk about.
Yeah, I think we are in the dry season as well. Yeah. We sort of mentioned this before the podcast started, but we're in this spot of May is always funny like this because like it's either we've got game releases coming out, but at the same time, there's no news.
Yeah.
Like it's just crickets because everyone's holding back for the big events. I mean, even today, well, yesterday, sorry, Xbox announced that a new Xbox game showcase is coming on June 11th.
Okay.
At 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Figure that out for BST and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that's going to be announced, so they're probably holding back quite a bit. And I know in that one as well, I think they've got a dedicated Starfield like direct either before or after it, like around the same time. They're probably going to show off like a small teaser trailer and then have like a whole section to show that game off because yeah, they're probably going to blow that out and sort of show every single little detail about that thing, so people are ready for it. But
yeah,
dry season.
Well, hopefully we'll try and stream some directs and forwards and things and whatever they're called. Over the E3 season, because that seemed to do well with the views.
Oh yeah, I mean, what are you looking forward to seeing anything at well, rest in peace E3, but like the Summer Games Fest sort of thing? Because I know people are complaining about Xbox not having much, but I don't actually know what PlayStation I've got in the pipe for this year either.
Yeah, maybe we're just getting older. We're just not on the ball, or forgetting things, like getting too old and forgetting the things that we were excited about.
I really don't know. Like that is a fairly good point, actually. Like I'm not actually sure if PlayStation have got anything large coming out this year. I'm going to look this up now because I'm going to be...
But also I'm in this post-enjoyment phase where I can't view anything now and know if I'm going to like it. I don't know if that's anyone else has felt like that, or maybe it's just my old age, but like a Golem looks good, but I'm going to wait until it's... Do you reckon?
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to be good at all.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm hoping that as well because I'm a Rings fan, right? Like I'm...
But yeah, like, I'm not going to buy it.
I watch a lot of...
I'm not going to buy it day one. No way.
Yeah.
Yeah, same reason.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
And then apart from that, I don't know what's out. I'm making a game. I've got no time to like read stuff.
Yeah,
it's the curse of the games developer. It's like you have no idea what's going on in the games industry because it's just busy making games or thinking about new games.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for PlayStation, they've got a couple of things coming out actually. So they got Final Fantasy 16 coming out on 22nd of June, which that's why I sort of forgot about it because it's like right in the middle of like Summer Games Fest. Which that one's cheating a little bit in my opinion. Like they bought that one like from a third party. Like it's not really a PlayStation game, but they have got exclusivity. It's probably a year exclusivity on that, and they've also got Spider-Man 2.
Oh, Spider-Man 2, of course. Yeah, that can be big.
But that's this fiscal, I think, so it could be out like next March or something. For all we know.
And then Dead Island 2.
Well, that's third party again.
Yeah.
So that's on Xbox as well. So yeah, not too much coming from PlayStation yet either. So like for all we know, like a bunch of stuff could get announced anyway.
Yeah.
At the Summer Games Fest for them, because I'm curious to see what PlayStation are also up to, because they've been a little bit quiet. Like, kind of want to see what Sucker Punch are doing with the next Tsushima game. I think that's probably the next big announcement.
I've just read some cool news. It looks like The Last of Us Remastered is coming to PS Plus Essential in May.
That's pretty cool.
So that might be worth a go.
Yeah, I mean, PlayStation do need to get on that bandwagon of releasing games a little bit faster onto that service. Because if they want to compete, this is the annoying thing from last week's news about the CMA blockage. You know, PlayStation saying, well, we can't compete. It's just like, well, you're not competing. That's why.
Yeah.
You're not releasing these games quick enough onto your own service. That's why you're not doing it.
It's not Monopoly. You're just choosing not to release the games that you own on your own service.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
Bizarre. Like, it should be like 3 months after release. You know, like they should have these games on the service. Like, that's the absolute latest it should be on there. But the fact that they're waiting 6 months, sometimes a year, it's kind of like, like you really, really need to start getting on this because the ship will sail.
Yeah.
Without you, and it'll be a monopoly not because of Xbox's like initiative, but because of your own lack of initiative almost.
Yeah, I get not having major AAA stuff all on at the same time. So like maybe this
Without doubt.
take things off for 1 month, bring
Yeah.
another thing on for another month, and balance it. You know?
Yeah, it just takes too long. Like it's just not fast enough. I don't think.
Yeah.
Like when it released, I think the newest game on there was like Horizon 1. And it was like, Oh, the new. I think it was Tsushima. Actually, I think was like the most recent game on it.
Yeah. Okay.
But there was no like PS5 games on it. I think Returnal was out for a year at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Last Guardian's coming as well.
Yeah, but they haven't patched it yet, so I don't care.
Okay.
I want a 60 FPS patch, man. That's what I want. I want it in 4K. And I want a 60 FPS.
That's fair enough. That's not a terrible thing to request. It should be doable.
It's 2 lines of code.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
That's it. And we know it's 2 lines of code because they patched it out in the past. Because when the PS4 version came out, it was running horribly, and the frame rate was all over the place. So they patched it with 1 line of code to make it 30 FPS. And then they capped the resolution. 2 lines of code. That was the patch. And they've never reverted it, even though, like, if you've got a disc of The Last Guardian and you put it into a PlayStation 5 that's got a disc reader and you don't patch it, it runs at 60 FPS at full resolution. No problem. Like, and it's flawless, apparently. But if you've got a digital version and you have to update it because when you download it, it already gets the update. It's like, yeah, good old PlayStation sort of thing. Yeah, it's
That's
like 2 lines of code,
infuriating.
man. Yeah, it's annoying as hell, especially because that was like my game of the year that year, and it's by my favorite game director as well. Annoying, yeah, very, very annoying. We'll see.
Oh well.
Oh well. But yeah, I haven't really got anything like on the top of my list for games that are coming out this year. You know, like I'm not like Starfield is going to be a big one, and I will play the crap out of that because I've played everything that Bethesda does.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Like Division 1 wise. I just love that game loop that they've always got.
Yeah.
Just going around listening to wacky music, you know, that's it.
A bit of new Street Fighter, if you're into that.
There is, but I'm not. That's the thing.
Yep.
And I think they know that as well. Like they're very much aware of their market. You know, like they understand that it's for like the competitive people, and it will build up an audience over time. They always do. It's just I'm not that audience. But I understand people love it though.
Have you heard of a Euden Chronicle?
Mm-mm.
If I'm butchering that, that's coming out. It's like an RPG thing, a Japanese RPG. Apparently, it's quite big.
Yeah, there's other things like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I think that's the next Final Fantasy VII game that's coming out. So there's Final Fantasy VII Remake, and now there's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the second in the remake series. I think it's going to be a trilogy altogether. So that's slated for 23, but we haven't heard anything about that. So there's a good chance that's going to slip because we would have heard a lot more about that game by now. Also, they're probably getting out of the way of Final Fantasy 15, but 16, sorry. Yeah, it's tough. It's a bit of a dry year for everyone. That's the thing. Like, that's kind of interesting that people are complaining so much about Xbox, but now they're taking a step back. But maybe people are just getting out of the way of Starfield and Tears of the Kingdom, you know, because they are 2 juggernauts that you cannot sort of ignore for the most part.
Yeah. A Wolf Among Us was going to be released this year. It's been pushed back to next year. So there's that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of games that we've seen, but we just haven't heard about them in such a long time that we're just assuming that they're going to be pushed.
Yeah.
So, God knows.
Who knows? But yeah. I think.
Yeah, bit of a slow one. I think we're like 45 minutes in. Might as well make it a short one.
Yeah.
You got anything else you want to talk about?
You could, if you really wanted to, wishlist the game I'm making, Focus Finds with Jump Button Studio.
Don't have to. I mean,
it wouldn't really help.
But yeah,
it would really help. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that would be good. And like all my videos on YouTube. Search for Acrylic Pixel. They'll pop up.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of
very much
paying some money to push it and see what happens.
Oh yeah.
because I've been doing it
Wait,
for like
paying to push what?
push like
What, the
social
game,
media
or?
push social media marketing, because I now have got like a baseline of all the different platforms, and it cost me nothing, obviously, to post on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. I'm not even bothering with Facebook and TikTok. And I know how much on average I get video posts. And sometimes I'll get a blip of like 1,000, but it's usually around sort of 100 to 200. And now I'm thinking, like, if I pay like a tenner or something every month, if that is better than releasing one video every day, then I might as well just pay £10 a month and just do one video and push for it to do well.
I mean, that's something you probably have to experiment with, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Because it's really hit and miss, man. Like, from what I've seen in the past, like when you put money into the algorithm, it goes into that bubble of, it starts going to random people that might not have an interest in it whatsoever. So you actually get as many views, even though you're pushing it to more people.
Yeah.
So more people are seeing it, but not as many people are even clicking on it anymore.
Mm.
So you get more views, but you might not get more traction, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Conversion to wish list. Conversion. Yeah.
Yeah. Just experiment with it. Like, why not? Like, just take £50 or something and really play around with it and really see what works, what doesn't. Like, really tune in your advertising stuff as well. So it's, like the people that you're targeting sort of thing. Make sure it's really specific to what you're after. It's better to hit like 100 people that are exactly what you're after.
Yeah. Rather
than being like, I just want to get everyone sort of thing. Maybe someone that isn't interested in video games will be interested in my game. Hey, it's like, no, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
Like, nobody does that. So just don't even try. Keep it really focused and really tight, and yeah, it should work.
And they'll find the wish
They'll
list.
Find the game. Yeah. Oh god, that pun is never gonna end. There it is.
Have you got anything you wanted to go over?
No, not really. Yeah, you can wishlist my game as well. Long Gone on Steam. You can find me at Hillfort Games on various different social medias. Google it, you'll find it. I am the herpes of the internet. You cannot get rid of me. I'm everywhere. That's basically how I sort of describe it these days. But yeah, I'm around. If you're interested in like little pixel zombie games, then click that button. It makes indie devs very happy when they get wish lists for their games.
It's a very good feeling.
It's a very good feeling.
Yeah.
And it actually really helps us out a lot. And good reason for that is, like, sort of explain it real quick. It's like the more wish lists that we have, like the more it's displayed on the Steam storefront when the game is released. So the more people that actually wish list it, the better that the game does. Literally, like,
financially. Yeah.
Yeah. And it genuinely really helps us out. So, like, please, we really, really appreciate it. As well, for this podcast as well, please like and subscribe, comment if you've got any thoughts on stuff that we've spoken about today. Like, what are you looking forward to in the Summer Games Fest season? It's going to be weird to call it that forever now because E3 is dead.
Summer Games season.
Summer Games season? Yeah, summer media season? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. Oh, well. R.I.P. E3.
Shogunai now. All right, cool. Yeah, let's get out of here anyway. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Really appreciate it. Until next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.